Now that we dealt with most of the color and typography, I want to focus on the spacing. There are some uncomfortable places that either by default have a space I don't want, such as the top, or it has no space and appears uncomfortable, such as the Wild Vintage logo. We will solve this with padding and margins. Let's begin. The first thing I want to address is that space at the top and that space at the bottom of the screen. In the composite, you'll see that the photo should be flush with the top of the display area, and the same with the footer at the bottom. Here, we have an example of a default setting. A pre-padding is already included here. To remove it, we will overwrite it. Let's open Dreamweaver so I can show you what I mean. We will use the body element for this. Go to the CSS Designer panel and locate the body element. Click on the plus sign next to Properties. Type Margin Top in the Add Property field, and in the Add Value field, type 0 pixels. Do the same for Margin Bottom. When you look at it in Design View, it seems to have worked. Let us make sure by previewing it in a browser. Do you see? Although it seemed as though both worked, only the top margin command is recognized. The reason for this is because we actually haven't specified the height of the footer yet. Let's fix that. Go back to Dreamweaver. In the CSS Designer panel, choose .footer class. In the Properties panel, click on the plus sign and let's add a height property of 160 pixels. Let's preview it again in the browser to make sure it is correct. That looks very good. The Wild Vintage logo in the top left looks squashed at the top and right. Let's create some breathing space by adding padding. Click on the dot navigation class in the CSS Designer panel. Next to Properties, click on the plus sign. Type Padding Top in the Property field and add a value of 10 pixels. See whether that is enough. It seems too slight, so I will double it and change it to 20 pixels. That looks better. Let's add a padding right value of 20 pixels as well. What has happened? We have successfully created padding space for the logo, but it pushed the content div below it. Why did that happen? Can you recall that we nested it all in between a .everything div? The width of that element is specified to be 900 pixels. And because we added 20 pixels of padding to the right, the combined width of navigation is now 320 pixels. To ensure there is enough space for the two regions to appear next to each other, we need to enlarge the parent width. In the CSS Designer panel, click on .everything. Under the Properties panel, next to Width, alter it to be 920 pixels and not 900 anymore. Do you see? It has immediately moved up again because the box is wide enough for the both of them. The buttons seem too close together. We need some margin space. The challenge with the buttons are that they are images, and the logo above it is an image as well. But we want it only to affect the buttons. To solve that, we will create an ID specifically for that margin. Open the external style sheet and make sure you are in code view. The insertion point needs to be at the bottom, since IDs are more specific than classes. Type in a £, or you might know it as a hash, followed by the name. I will give it a name of NAV-space. Type in a opening brace, margin top, colon, 20 pixels, semicolon, and close brace. Now we need to switch to the source code and locate within the HTML document the first button image. Just after IMG, type in ID equals double quotation mark, and Dreamweaver will provide a drop-down most of the time, and you will be able to choose nav-space. Click on Design View to see whether it worked. It looks nice. Let's attach the ID to the other two as well. Switch back to Code View. Locate the second image and repeat the process. Once you're done, view the progress in Design View. The leaf icon in the Content section appears too close to that photo for my taste. Because it is an image, I can apply the ID of space to that as well. Let's do that and see if it improves the spacing. Since we are in the Design View, click on the leaf icon image. Now switch over to Code View. It is supposed to be highlighted. It just makes it easier to identify the image within the code. After IMG, type in ID equals double quotation mark and choose nav-space again. Switch over to Design View. That looks wonderful.